The world had been quiet for a long time. The cities were empty, and nature had begun to take back the land. People lived in small settlements, hidden among forests and mountains. Few remembered the great engines that once powered the planet. These engines had been silent for decades, waiting in the shadows. Many thought they were gone forever. But deep under the ruins of old cities, they waited. Ethan walked carefully through the dark tunnel beneath what used to be the city of Atlanta. The walls were cracked and wet with water that had leaked through years of neglect. His flashlight moved slowly across the old metal panels that lined the walls. Maria followed close behind, carrying a small backpack with tools and food. They had been searching for signs of the old energy engines for weeks, and now they were close. "Do you think we will find anything?" Maria asked softly. Her voice echoed slightly in the tunnel. "I hope so," Ethan replied. "These engines could give us power again. They could protect us if something happens." They reached a large metal door, rusted and heavy. Etched into its surface were symbols that no one living could understand. Ethan tried the handle, and it moved slowly with a groan. Inside, the room was dark, filled with dust and silence. Huge machines lined the walls, their shapes covered with years of grime. A faint hum seemed to come from somewhere deep inside the room, but it was almost like the machines were holding their breath. "Look at this," Maria whispered, pointing to a console with buttons and levers. "Some of these panels still have lights. Maybe it is still alive in some way." Ethan knelt and examined the controls. Suddenly, a small spark jumped from a wire to his hand. He jumped back. The lights flickered, and then slowly began to glow. The hum in the room grew louder, like the engines were waking from a long sleep. "Ethan, it is working," Maria said, her eyes wide. "The engines. They are alive." As they explored further, they found more consoles and panels. Ethan pressed buttons carefully, trying not to break anything. The machines began to move slowly, gears turning and belts shifting. Dust rose from the floor as the engine started to run. The hum grew into a steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Outside, the sky was quiet. Stars twinkled faintly through the clouds. Far away, an alien fleet was drifting through space. They were scientists and explorers, traveling from one star system to another. Captain Ralvek, the leader of the fleet, monitored the space around them. His sharp eyes noticed a sudden signal coming from a small blue planet. It was weak, but unusual. "What is that?" Ralvek asked, his voice calm but alert. "It is not a natural signal. It feels like a distress call." His crew gathered around the console. The signal was strange, filled with patterns and pulses that no one had ever seen. It was coming from the planet Earth, a world thought to be empty and quiet for centuries. Ralvek made a decision. He ordered the fleet to change course and head toward the planet. Back on Earth, Ethan and Maria were joined by two more survivors, Lucas and Karen. Lucas was strong and careful, always thinking before he acted. Karen was smart, quick, and curious. Together, they explored the old engine room, marveling at the power contained within the ancient machines. "I wonder what these engines were built for," Lucas said. He ran his hand along a cold metal pipe. "Some kind of protection, maybe, or a weapon?" "I think they were meant to save us," Maria said. "The old engineers wanted to protect the world from something dangerous." As the group spoke, small drones began to rise from the floor. They were tiny machines with glowing lights, shaped like birds but made of metal. They hovered in the air, watching the humans carefully. Ethan stepped back, unsure if the drones were friendly or hostile. "They are following us," Karen said, her voice nervous. "I don't know if they are dangerous." Ethan held out his hand slowly. "Let's not hurt them. Maybe they are part of the engine's system. Maybe they are here to help." The drones circled around the humans, scanning and observing. They did not attack. After a while, they returned to their stations, as if satisfied that the humans were allowed to be near. Ethan exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and wonder. The engines continued to hum, sending small pulses of energy into the sky. These pulses traveled far beyond Earth, reaching deep space. Captain Ralvek's fleet was the first to detect them. The aliens had never seen a planet send such a strong and organized signal without being inhabited by intelligent life. They watched carefully as the pulses continued, trying to understand the meaning behind them. "This planet is not as empty as we thought," Ralvek said. "Something is awake. We need to be careful. It could be a trap, or it could be a real call for help." On Earth, Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen discovered a locked data panel inside the engine room. It was covered with symbols and markings, but Maria managed to unlock it using the old coding knowledge she had learned from books salvaged from libraries. The screen flickered to life, revealing maps and blueprints of the old defense systems. "Look at this," Maria said. "It is a map of the whole planet. There are stations here, here, and here. These are the old defense points. The engineers wanted to protect every corner of the world." Lucas studied the map closely. "If we can activate these stations, we might be able to protect our settlements. Maybe we can even send messages to the outside world." As they worked, the hum of the engines grew louder, almost like the machines were speaking to them. Ethan reached out and touched one of the control panels. A rush of energy flowed through him, and he felt a strange connection with the engines. It was as if the planet itself was alive and aware. Suddenly, a small alarm sounded. A red light blinked on one of the panels. The drones moved quickly, circling the humans more closely. Ethan stepped forward, trying to calm the situation. "It is okay," he said. "We mean no harm. We only want to understand and use the engines to help." The drones paused, their lights dimming slightly. The alarm stopped. It seemed that the engines recognized the humans as allies, or at least as acceptable operators. Ethan smiled, feeling hope for the first time in many years. Far in space, Ralvek's fleet approached the planet. They observed the old cities, the forests, and the signs of small human settlements. The pulse continued to reach them, steady and strong. It was not just a signal, it was an awakening. The engines were alive, and the planet was preparing itself for something unknown. "We need to be careful," Ralvek said again. "This is more advanced than anything we have seen. We must find out if it is dangerous before we approach too close." Back on Earth, Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen worked through the night. They explored more engine rooms, each more complex than the last. They found old recordings of engineers explaining the purpose of the engines, the power they could produce, and the safeguards built to prevent misuse. "These machines were made to defend the planet from invaders," Ethan said, studying the recordings. "They expected something from the stars. Maybe the aliens will help," Maria said quietly. "Or maybe they are the ones the engines are trying to defend us from." Lucas shook his head. "We cannot know yet. We have to focus on understanding the engines first. If we can control them, we can survive anything." As the engines roared to life, the world around them seemed to change. The ground trembled slightly, and distant lights flickered in small settlements. The pulse continued to send signals into space, strong enough to be heard by anyone listening. It was a call for help, a warning, and a declaration all at once. The aliens drew closer, sensing the intelligence behind the pulse. Ralvek felt a mixture of curiosity and caution. He knew that contacting this planet could change everything for his species, for humanity, and for the universe. On Earth, the four humans realized that the engines had awoken not just as machines, but as protectors. They were alive in a way, ready to follow their operators and defend the planet if needed. Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen felt the weight of responsibility. The future of Earth might depend on their decisions in the coming days. And far above, in the silent expanse of space, the first signs of attention from the stars had arrived. The universe had noticed Earth's awakening, and something, or someone, was coming to see what the pulse meant. The hum of the engines grew into a roar, shaking the underground tunnels. Ethan and Maria held hands, feeling the power and hope rising around them. Lucas and Karen stood close, ready to face whatever came next. The silent engines had awakened, and with them, a new chapter for humanity was beginning. For the first time in many years, Earth was not silent. The world was alive, alert, and reaching out to the stars. The pulse that had once been dormant was now awake, and no one, human or alien, would ignore it. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Captain Ralvek watched the planet from the bridge of his ship. The blue and green world looked peaceful from space, but the pulse of energy they had detected told a different story. It was not the signal of a quiet, empty planet. Something was awake below. "Scan for life forms," Ralvek ordered. The crew worked quickly, their instruments picking up faint signs of movement on the surface. Scattered human settlements were visible, hidden among forests and mountains. The signals matched the pulse. Earth was not abandoned. "We are detecting machines," a crew member said. "They are large, moving, and seem to be powered by the planet itself." Ralvek studied the readouts. "Machines? Alive machines? Are they a threat?" "Uncertain, Captain," the crew replied. "We have never seen anything like this. It appears automated but intelligent." On the surface, Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen continued exploring the engine complex. The humming of the machines had grown steady and confident, like a heartbeat keeping time with their own movements. Small drones patrolled the tunnels, occasionally flying near the humans, watching but not interfering. "These drones are strange," Lucas said. "They do not attack, but they follow us. It is like they understand us." Maria nodded. "They are part of the engine's system. They might be the eyes and ears of the planet. We have to be careful, but also use them to learn." Ethan found a panel with a series of instructions in a language that was mostly symbols but also had simple words. He pressed the buttons as directed, and a holographic map appeared in the air. It showed the entire planet, with points marked in red, yellow, and green. "This must be the old defense network," Ethan said. "Look, each red point is a station. Yellow may be support systems. Green may be control centers." Karen studied the map. "If we can activate the stations, maybe we can control the drones and engines. We could make the planet ready for anything." The group worked for hours, learning how the system responded to their commands. Slowly, they began to understand the logic behind the machines. The engines were not just energy sources. They were a planetary defense system. They had been built to protect humanity from something in space. Above, the alien fleet adjusted its orbit. Ralvek sent a small scout down in a transparent shuttle. It moved carefully, avoiding forests and rivers. The humans below did not see it at first. The shuttle scanned the terrain, recording the large machines and small settlements. Inside the shuttle, an alien named Varric observed the readings. "Captain, the machines are massive and intelligent. They are protecting something, or someone. It may be dangerous if approached without caution." Ralvek nodded. "We do not want to provoke them. We must find a way to communicate before the humans notice us." On the ground, Ethan's group noticed strange readings on the map. Red points had started blinking in sequence. The drones began to move faster, their lights glowing brighter. A low vibration filled the tunnels, and Ethan felt it in his chest. "The engines, they are activating more systems," Ethan said. "Something is about to happen." Maria moved closer to one of the control panels. "We have to be careful. We cannot start a chain reaction that could harm anyone." Just then, the scout shuttle hovered above the surface. Its lights caught Ethan's attention. He pointed upward. "Look! Something is in the sky." The aliens saw the humans finally. Varric signaled the shuttle to remain still, hoping the humans would not attack. Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen stared in amazement. The shuttle was unlike anything they had seen. It was smooth, with glowing lines, and it did not resemble any aircraft they remembered. "It is not firing anything," Karen whispered. "Maybe it is friendly." Ethan raised his hand slowly. "We mean no harm. We only want to understand the engines." The shuttle hovered lower, and a small panel opened. A voice spoke in perfect English, though with a strange accent. "We come in peace. We mean no harm. We are explorers." Maria took a step forward. "Explorers? From where?" "From a distant star system." The voice replied. "We detected a signal from this planet. It seemed like a call for help. We wanted to investigate before it reached others." Lucas frowned. "Call for help? We did not send any signal. The engines, they just woke." "Then the engines have reached out," the alien said. "They are intelligent, and their pulse is strong. It is a warning, and a signal at the same time." Ethan and Maria exchanged looks. "We have to make sure they do not attack us," Ethan said quietly. "The engines are old, but powerful. We cannot risk conflict." The shuttle remained hovering, and slowly, the aliens stepped out. They were tall, with pale skin and large eyes. They did not carry weapons, only devices for communication and scanning. Ralvek followed from a distance, commanding the fleet to stay in orbit. "We do not want war," Ralvek said. "We only want to understand." Maria nodded. "We do not want war either. The engines are awake. They protect the planet, and they may react to anything they see as a threat." The aliens and humans approached each other cautiously. Small drones flew between them, scanning and observing. No one moved quickly. The tension was thick, but the desire to understand was stronger. "Why did the engines wake?" Varric asked. "What is happening on your planet?" Ethan explained what they had found. The engines had begun to hum, the drones had awakened, and the old defense network had started responding to human presence. The planet itself seemed alive, aware, and ready. "Then your planet is alive," Varric said quietly. "The engines are not just machines. They think, in their way. They sent the signal we detected. We felt it as a call for help." Maria shivered. "We do not know why. We only know that something is coming. The engines are preparing. Maybe they sensed danger from the stars." Ralvek stepped forward, his voice calm. "We may be able to help, but we must understand the system first. If the engines fire at the wrong target, it could destroy everything." Lucas nodded. "We need your knowledge, and we need to calm the engines. They respond to intelligence and will follow orders if we can guide them." The group worked through the night. Humans and aliens communicated using simple words and gestures. Maria used her knowledge of coding to explain the systems. Varric shared information about alien technology, sensors, and shields. Slowly, they began to understand how to link the two systems. "The engines can accept cooperation," Maria said. "We can guide them not to attack you, but to protect the planet." "Then we must prepare," Ralvek said. "Something may come, and your planet will not be alone in defending itself." The engines hummed louder as they linked to the control panels. Small lights on the drones blinked faster, as if acknowledging the humans and aliens as allies. Ethan reached out and touched a panel. He felt a surge of energy, but it was not harmful. It was as if the planet was testing him, measuring his intentions. "It is like they know we mean no harm," Ethan said. "We can work together." As the sun rose, the group noticed something in orbit. A dark shape moved near the moon. It was large, fast, and alien. It had not come from Ralvek's fleet. It was the first sign of a predator species known as the Devourers, creatures feared even by distant civilizations. "We are not alone," Varric said, alarmed. "This is what the engines were built to defend against." Ethan looked at Maria and Karen. The planet knew something was coming. That is why the engines woke. It is warning us. And maybe it is trying to give us a chance to survive. Lucas checked the map again. If we can activate the orbital stations, we can defend the planet. We can fight back. But we need everyone working together. Ralvek nodded. Then we must combine our knowledge, technology, and strategy. The Devourers will not wait. They will attack if they sense life. The engines continued to hum, sending pulses into space. The drones moved faster, coordinating their patrols. Humans and aliens moved together, planning, activating, and learning. The planet was no longer silent. It had allies, and it was preparing for what was coming. Ethan watched the sky. The signal that had once only been a pulse of energy now meant something greater. It was a warning, a preparation, and a hope. Humans and aliens, working together, could awaken the planet's power. They could survive the coming threat. Maria placed her hand on Ethan's arm. We are not alone anymore. The engines will protect us. And now we have allies from the stars. Lucas and Karen nodded. Determination on their faces. The aliens stood close, ready to assist. Even the drones seemed to respond to the new partnership. Ralvek looked at Earth with a sense of purpose. This planet has awakened. It has chosen to fight, and it has chosen to do it with us. We will not fail. And so, Earth's silent engines continued to roar, linking humans and aliens together. The first steps had been taken to understand the planet, control its defenses, and prepare for the predators from space. The pulse had awakened more than machines. It had awakened a new hope, a united force, ready to face whatever the universe would send next. The night ended, and the sun rose over Earth. The engines hummed steadily. Drones patrolled carefully, and humans and aliens worked side by side. The planet was alive, the fleet was here, and the coming days would test them all. But for now, hope was stronger than fear, and the future was ready to begin. The Devourers moved closer. From the orbit of Earth, their dark shapes cast shadows over the moon. Captain Ralvik and his fleet observed the predators carefully. These were the creatures the engines had been built to defend against, and they were fast, strong, and dangerous. They are coming too quickly, Varric said, scanning the sensors. If we do not act soon, the outer settlements will be destroyed. Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen worked in the main engine room, linking the planet's systems with the alien technology. The drones flew in precise patterns, forming a network that covered the entire surface. The orbital stations slowly powered up, their lights flickering as they connected to the central system. We can do this, Ethan said, his voice steady. The engines are responding. They know we are ready. Maria typed commands into a console, activating defensive shields around the major settlements. If the Devourers try to enter the atmosphere, they will face resistance, she said. But orbital defenses need more power. We must coordinate with the aliens. Ralvek's fleet moved into formation above Earth. Their shields glowed, and their weapon systems were ready. But they waited for the humans to signal that the planet's systems were synchronized. Engines are stable, Maria reported. Drones are in position. Orbital stations are online. The planet is ready to defend itself. The Devourers sent a scout down toward the moon. It moved quickly, its sharp edges cutting through space. The alien sensors picked it up immediately. Engage the moon defenses, Ralvek ordered. His fleet fired energy pulses, striking the scout. It shrieked and dissolved into pieces of dark energy. The planet's sensors registered the threat, and the engines began to activate faster. Preparing more automated defenses, Ethan watched the screens carefully. The engines are learning. They understand how to fight now. They are linking our commands with the drones and stations. Lucas checked the map. The main attack will come in waves. The Devourers will try to enter orbit first. We need to make sure all stations fire together. The Devourers sent the first wave of scouts. Small, fast ships moved toward Earth's orbit, attempting to probe for weaknesses. The orbital stations fired in unison, energy beams striking each target with precision. Explosions lit the darkness of space as the first wave was destroyed. "They are surprised," Varric said. "They did not expect a planet to be defended like this." The second wave came larger and stronger. The Devourers had learned from the first attack. They sent massive ships toward the atmosphere. Trying to break through the defenses, Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen coordinated with Ralvek and Varric, issuing commands through linked systems. The drones moved faster, guiding energy beams to intercept the attackers. "We can do this," Maria said, sweat on her forehead. "We just have to stay focused." Ethan pressed buttons quickly, activating hidden defense turrets around the planet. Flashes of light appeared as the turrets fired at incoming ships. Some Devourers tried to land near settlements, but the drones intercepted them, guiding automated weapons to strike. "Hold your positions," Ralvek shouted. His fleet fired in patterns, covering the planet's blind spots. Each Devourer ship that approached was destroyed before it could reach the surface. Karen's eyes were wide as she watched a massive Devourer ship descend. "That one is huge," she said. "Can the engines stop it?" Lucas nodded. "We have to try. We cannot let it land. If it lands, it will destroy everything," the engines responded. Energy surged through the drones and orbital stations. Beams of light shot across the sky, striking the massive ship. It shuddered under the force. But it did not fall. Ethan realized they needed a new plan. "Combine human and alien fire," he said. "We must concentrate all energy on one point." Maria and Varric coordinated with the fleet. The orbital stations and drones focused their beams. The alien ships fired their most powerful weapons. The massive Devourer ship shivered and cracked under the combined attack. Sparks and fire flew across its surface. Finally, with a deafening roar, it exploded into countless pieces. "We did it," Ethan shouted. Maria smiled, relief on her face. Lucas and Karen hugged each other. Even the drones seemed to hover in celebration, lights blinking in unison. Ralvek looked at Earth from orbit. "This planet is stronger than we expected. The engines, the humans, and our fleet. Together, we are a force they cannot defeat easily." But the Devourers were not finished. More ships appeared, larger and faster. The battle was far from over. The humans and aliens prepared for the next wave. The engines hummed like a living being, ready to respond to every attack. "We must hold the planet together," Maria said. "Every station, every drone, every weapon must work as one." Ethan nodded. "We will. The engines trust us now. We trust each other. We can do this." The Devourers entered orbit in huge numbers. Ralvek's fleet formed a defensive ring, firing at anything that came too close. The engines fired orbital beams, energy missiles, and automated drones. Explosions lit the skies of Earth. The humans on the ground watched in awe as the power of their planet became visible. "They will not win," Lucas said, determination in his voice. "Not if we can control the engines." Maria directed energy beams toward the largest Devourer ship. The drones guided the attacks, focusing every strike on weak points. The Devourers shrieked in rage as their ships were destroyed one by one. Ethan pressed a final sequence on the console. The engines roared in agreement, sending a massive pulse into space. The Devourers felt it like a warning. Some ships turned back, retreating. Others hesitated, unsure if they should attack further. Ralvek watched carefully. The pulse. They are afraid. The humans and aliens pressed the advantage. The remaining Devourer ships were struck with coordinated attacks. Their numbers dwindled. The orbital stations, drones, and fleet worked together like a single mind. The engines had fully awakened. Finally, silence returned to space above Earth. The Devourers were gone, retreating to the darkness from where they had come. The humans and aliens stood together, breathing heavily, watching the night sky. The engines hummed gently now, satisfied that the threat had passed. "We survived," Ethan said quietly. Maria smiled and held his hand. "Yes," she said. "And the engines will keep us safe from now on." Lucas looked at the map. "The planet is awake. It knows who its friends are. Nothing can reach us without warning now." Ralvek nodded. "Earth is no longer a quiet, weak world. It is strong, alive, and ready. We have seen its power, and we have joined it. This alliance will last." Vrek smiled. "The pulse that once brought us here as a warning has now become a signal of hope. Humanity has returned, stronger than ever." The humans and aliens walked among the drones and engines. The machines continued their work, repairing systems and strengthening defenses. For the first time in centuries, the world felt alive, safe, and united. "The engines will not sleep again," Maria said. "They are awake with us, and we are awake with them." Ethan nodded. "We will protect our planet, and now we are not alone. Together with our allies, we can face anything." As the first sun rose over the hills, forests, and rivers, the planet shone with energy. Drones flew above the settlements, orbital stations glimmered, and humans and aliens prepared for a new day. The engines had roared awake, the devourers were gone, and Earth was alive with hope. Ralvek looked down at the world. "We came to investigate a signal. We found more than life. We found a planet ready to stand on its own, with courage, strength, and allies." Ethan, Maria, Lucas, and Karen stood side by side, watching the horizon. "This is just the beginning," Ethan said. "Our planet is alive. And so are we." The pulse of the engines continued, steady and strong. It reached beyond the solar system, a declaration that Earth was awake. The silent engines were no longer quiet. They had found their voice, and it called not only for survival, but for unity, courage, and hope. And in the vastness of space, anyone listening would know. Earth had awakened, humanity had returned, and no one would ignore their presence again. The world had changed, forever. And the engines would roar, as long as there were humans to guide them, aliens to ally with, and threats to face. Earth was alive, and it would never be silent again.